Good morning. This is Amber.
This is Tom.
And thank you for joining us this morning for this edition of Something to Celebrate. The 17th of September.
Yes, September 17.
2019. Tomorrow's my 60th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
It's my 60th birthday, which I'm going to say I'm 60 forever, because until I hit 60.
You're 60?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
We'll just keep that between you and me in the fence post, okay?
There we go.
I'm aging gracefully.
She's but a child.
I'm only 21 plus 25, okay?
Yes.
So yeah, but my husband said I should tell everyone I'm 60 instead of trying to be younger. And trying to, you know how you're always saying that you're younger than you are?
Mm-hmm.
He's convinced if you say you're older than you are, then people are like, man, you look great. What's your secret? You know? How old have you been telling people you are, Tom?
Oh, I just go for the real thing, you know.
You just go for the real thing?
Yeah, I don't try to hide it.
You don't say I'm 80, actually, you know?
No. I'll get there soon enough.
Well, that's awesome. Well,
A day over 82.
don't look a day over
I appreciate
80.
that.
So very exciting. So second week in September, or third? Is it the third week? It's
yeah,
a
this
third
is the
week.
17th.
Does this? It really does. It almost feels like September's over, halfway over. Christmas stuff is in the stores.
That's what I have heard. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're already putting out decorations. And
Yeah. Have you done any Christmas shopping? Do you
no,
do that?
no.
I find that it's a little bit, a lot of people get their Christmas shopping the day after, in the day after Christmas sales last year. And I think that's just too much of a commitment. I like to run around the night before Christmas, just like everybody else, and get all my gifts at like the local petrol stations, like Casey's, So you can find some really cool gifts there.
Yeah, gum.
Gum. For all occasions, there's gum. Well, what word of the day are we celebrating, Tom?
Oh, my word. Today is a kind of a fun word, flummadiddle.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and this relates a lot to what you were just talking about, which means utter nonsense.
Well, I'm a Viking when it comes to utter nonsense.
Yep. Flummadiddle. Utter nonsense.
Okay. Well, I'm going to flummadiddle my way through this morning podcast. So quite fitting. And Tom, you also have a natural solution.
Well, yeah, today we're going to be talking about blood pressure supplement. And high blood pressure, also referred to as HBP or hypertension. It's when your blood pressure, the force of blood flowing through your blood vessels, is consistently too high. And we don't know this, but nearly half of American adults have high blood pressure. And a lot don't even realize that they have it. The best way to know if you have blood pressure is to have your blood pressure checked. And
Wow,
it's easy.
yes.
They've even got some of these places at pharmacies or Walmart. Where you can,
yes.
I don't know exactly how accurate those are, but my wife on a regular basis, every time she's in Walmart, she's checking.
Yes.
The benefits of blood pressure supplement: supports heart health, promotes energy production in cells, and maintains a healthy blood pressure. Our blood pressure supplement supports cardiovascular health by lowering blood pressure with botanical extracts, thought to support healthy blood pressure. Can be used to complement a healthy diet, exercise, and doctor-prescribed regimen.
Yeah.
And you can find your blood pressure supplement at www.naturalsolutionstore.bz.
What a great. Speaking of blood pressure and an unnatural segue, I just got a pressure cooker that cooks your food. And how many? I mean, do you have an Instapot at home?
No.
The pressure cookers. Well, I find myself as incredibly domesticated. So this week I got a pressure cooker for my birthday, Instapot, 8 quart thing, and I used measuring cups for the first time.
Measuring cups.
Yes.
Wow.
For the very first time. So I think I'm getting up in the world. And now 46, I officially have that off my bucket list, using measuring cups. So, yeah, I should really take some lessons from Dorcas, because she is the baking extraordinaire
Yes.
measuring cup girl.
She loves to bake.
So, what else are we celebrating besides cake?
Well, and this month, the whole month of September, is Baby Safety Month. We just always, and that needs to be year-round. And also National Piano Month and National Courtesy Month. But September 17th is Constitution Day. It was on this day that the Constitution was signed. Citizenship Day. Ooh, and this is good. National
Ooh.
Apple Dumpling Day.
Wow, that sounds
And,
awesome.
and for those of us who are computer challenged, National IT Professionals Day.
I love our IT professionals.
Oh my word, they have bailed me out. And for you Monte Cristo lovers, this is National Monte Cristo Day. That
Ooh,
wonderful
yummy.
sandwich that's deep fried
And
or
powder
fried.
covered in
yeah.
powdered sugar.
And,
Yum. That's awesome.
And this day in 1978, the Camp David Accords were signed, and
Wow.
signed by Egyptian President Anwar el-Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin.
Mm-hmm.
The Accords were the precursor to the 1974 Egypt-Israel Peace Treaty. And on this day in 1862, kind of a sad day, the bloodiest single day of the American Civil War took place, the Battle of Antietam, and it is estimated that 4,000 soldiers on both sides were killed.
Wow. Well, it's so interesting how rich Civil War history is in here in Springfield.
Yes, in Southwest
'Cause
Missouri. Mhm.
Southwest Missouri, we had Battlefield Mall. Many of you know, or may not know, that Battlefield Mall was actually, a Civil War site. And then over on Wilson's Creek National Battlefield, I think I grew up going there and kind of have, kind of
Yeah, that's
faded
a-
out
it's
into
beautiful.
existence. So
Beautiful out
yeah,
there.
got to go out. Beautiful fall days coming up. Go out to the Wilson's Creek National Battlefield. It's a beautiful place.
And today's a happy birthday shout out, born in 1923 to
Ooh.
Hank Williams, who died
Aw.
in 1953,
Oh,
very,
wow.
very young.
Yeah.
And on this day in 1948, John Ritter, the actor of Three's Company fame
I
and
love that.
other shows, he'd been on the
Yes.
Waltons as a guest and some other shows, and he passed away in 2003 of an undetected heart condition.
Wow. 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 I love Three's Company. Come and knock on my door.
Yep.
Remember that? I am just showing my age right now, but so funny. Every time during my birthday, my husband asks me where I want to eat. Okay, I think that's what you do when you're over, a certain age. That's just
When you're over 50 like you are.
It's like, where do you want to eat? Okay, let's think about something. My Say Grace segment is in honor of our Miss Gracie, the intern, is the Aviary Creperie downtown, and there's one over in the Farmers Park over here on Republic. I don't know how many of you like crepes. Do you guys like crepes?
Basically, a really thin pancake.
Yes, it is, but the Aviary makes crepes unlike I've ever tasted in my life.
Birds?
Huh?
They make them out of birds?
No, they don't make it, and they don't have birds flying around in the restaurant to anoint your pancake and anoint your crepes. That's you don't want.
Thank
you don't
God
want
for
that.
that.
Thank goodness for that. Lovely crepes, sweet and savory breakfast crepes. They have it's like all these flavors of chocolate, and then they have this mascarpone crepe with all this fresh fruit on it. Very fresh. Everything at the Aviary is locally sourced. So if you guys like crepes, or if you want a unique experience, of course, my oldest, she loves the Aviary because it's all the French. You get your little bill at the end of the day, at the end of your meal, in a little French book. So, like with French language in it, and she would just read the book while I pay the check. So, that's always exciting. But in homage to my birthday and my favorite place, one of my favorite places to eat, I have some desserts from the aviary. Like, and I even put it in a posh gold plate because we need that. And Matt, would you come over to the table for us?
Get some napkins.
If you want to, or we could just like leave it here on the, for the people. I don't have the dog, so
Jay's gonna get the napkins.
it makes it a challenge. Okay,
I took the suit jacket off, so I'm just wearing an untucked shirt with a tie.
that looks very, very Ozark.
Go ahead, grasp for the word.
Ozark's a business. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah,
Ozark's doing
Chic.
business.
Ozark casual.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. A Cardinals hat, plaid shirt, and a tie. That does. I'm gonna put on your favorite, your French accent, and so we
this
can.
is it. Très bon style. That is not a jackhammer. That is a jackhammer.
Well, here is your fork. Okay, so are you looking at it? Make sure it's
Yeah,
clean.
no, it's
The fork. Okay, so the beautiful thing about some of the aviaries is they give their desserts to some of the local
They look so delicious.
bistros. Don't they look and literally? Oh, I
They
don't
about
do
look
that.
all
I
on the
don't.
floor.
They,
Yeah, there we go.
They won't like. I wish you could smell the. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to try is, I think so. We don't
They come
mix.
with little bitty disc things on them.
I know, isn't it posh?
It is. That's very
Okay.
debonair.
Yes. Okay. So the first thing we're going to try is the peanut butter pie. So you go ahead. Go
Peanut
ahead.
butter. Okay, you
Right
had me
here.
at peanut.
Peanut butter pie. Okay.
Oh wow, that's soft.
Yeah. It's like a peanut butter. It's almost like a. Yeah. You got to describe it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jay, you're gonna love this.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got my mic on, or is, I think you're probably just really.
I
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh no, I'm good.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And it's not like pie. It's more like a mousse.
It's more like
A mousse without the horns.
it's
Yeah.
like somebody took a bunch of Reese's Pieces
Mm-hmm.
and peeled the shells off of them. And
Yeah.
squashed them all together with chocolate.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
thing.
it's a
And
delish.
it's-
That is very delicious.
And it's very smooth.
That'll be Jay's favorite because he's a peanut butter chocolate junkie.
Are you
over there.
a peanut butter chocolate junkie? I'm gonna have to pass you the plate. Okay. To cleanse our palates, we're gonna have their traditional New York cheesecake.
Oh,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
this
ahead.
is like actual New York cheesecake.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Except it wasn't shipped from New York. It was made.
What? How dare you?
It was made in a
That
French.
would've been
It was
really
made in a
posh.
French bakery. Yes, it is a beautiful thing.
Parlez-vous français?
Mm-hmm.
But that's some good cheesecake, eh? That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not overly sweet either.
Mm-mm.
I'm a huge fan of cream cheese.
Mhm.
I hated cheesecake as a kid, but I love it now.
Well, the one thing about the French pastries is some of them aren't as overwhelmingly sweet as some of the
That is-
American equivalents.
That is hardly sweet at all.
Yeah.
It's really good. I like it.
Okay. So we're going to try them.
There's a little drool coming out of Jay's corner of Jay's mouth back there. We should get you up and put you over here.
I know.
Next time we
Jay,
will.
Jay, you got to come next time because, us, we'll give you some.
We
and
could
then
turn
we'll-
this into an entire show.
Yeah, exactly. Tasting. Okay. So
That
this
looks lemon something.
this is the lemon cake. Now the lemon chiffon cake. So you
Ooh, chiffon.
go and have a dib right there.
The lemon chiffon?
Dive right in, Matt.
I didn't bring my chiffon suit today. No, the bathing suit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not overly sweet. Texture is really good. The cake is moist, but not like it's dense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not chewy. The lemon is not overly
Crazy lemon.
rambunctious, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Like it's not super because I'm not a fan of lemon pastries.
Mhm.
But I'd eat that because it's just a hint of lemon, just enough to freshen up your palate.
Palette. Yeah, it's really good. And the cake, unlike this is just like a really moist, almost like a pound cake texture.
But it's a little
Very good.
denser than pound
A
cake.
little denser. So, okay, so I'm going to try this for the final. This is the turtle cheesecake.
So it's a chocolate cheesecake.
It is a chocolate cheesecake. So
Doesn't
we're gonna
have real
compare
turtles. It's turtle free.
Turtle free. Reminds me of Crunchy Frog.
No turtles were injured.
Crunchy Frog
No
sweets.
turtles were injured during the making of this show.
Yes. Here, let's hold that down for you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Again, not overly sweet.
Mm-hmm.
The flavors are married together very well.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the texture of cheesecake is just it's
Beautiful.
essentially whipped cream cheese
Yeah.
with a little sugar and chocolate in there.
If you had to pick one, what would you do?
Turtle.
Turtle? I'm kind of a lemon girl, but it's really close between really savory, like the lemony kind of unsweet, and then the peanut butter. You know, that's like
I love the peanut butter thing too. I did notice this piece right here, and I was trying to figure out what it is.
okay. Take a
Hey, it's more peanut butter.
more peanut butter, so it makes it even extra good because it's topped off with a. If you love peanut butter, and you love to try French things, this is kind of a cool thing that we do when we go to like restaurants. Is we try a little multiple desserts and have them in the middle. And
Yeah, have you ever had those little shot glasses?
oh
with
yeah,
with the chocolate mousse and stuff in it.
yeah.
Oh,
But
the
I don't-
dessert shots.
Yeah, and it's so funny because my problem is when I get a dessert, like I always want to taste the other people's desserts. So put it in the middle and just sample.
Well, I mean,
it.
you're a wife. That's your job. Just say,
I'm a
"I want mine,
professional."
but I'm going to eat some of yours too because I can.
I always say I'm always checking for poison in my foods.
That
And candy,
that's
and
so
Halloween
selfless of
candy.
you.
It
Yeah.
is checking for poison. Well, I'm going to deliver that to this side of the room because Jay just needs some of that peanut
Jay,
butter.
yeah, he does. He's going to eat
He
it.
does.
He's going to try it all. Thanks for having me on
You're
the show.
welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
Sweet. Thanks, Tom.
We are going to get Karen Porter on the show.
Love Karen Porter.
She is so awesome. And I have some peanut butter stuck in my teeth.
I need to go get you a toothpick.
I don't know. Can I pick teeth on when I'm on an interview? I don't know if it's a good kosher thing to do. Yeah. We'll see if she's coming.
Who's this, Karen?
Karen Porter.
Hello, we are not available.
Okay, well, there you go. We're going to try the second one. Second one's always a charm. Wow.
Hello.
Good morning, Karen. This is Amber.
Good morning.
Hi.
I picked up the landline just as you hung up. I'm sorry.
No worries at all. Thank you for being on the show today, for being on Something to Celebrate. Appreciate you being on here. I just got through eating peanut butter pie, and I was wondering, since you're in Texas, do you mind if I pick my teeth while I do my interview? I mean, literally, I think
No.
that's. Do you guys walk around with toothpicks in your mouth?
No.
Well, some people do. I try to keep my husband from it. He would really like to. Let's just say that he would really like to.
Well, I just am so excited about having Karen. Karen is not only an author, she is a publisher. Her and her husband own Bold Vision Books. and she's based. Are you based in Dallas, Karen?
No, we're closer to Houston. We're
Houston.
between Houston and Galveston.
Yeah, and Texas is this big old country by itself, you know.
It's right.
So Dallas and Galveston area is very very big difference. Well, Karen, you have this book that just came out. You have had, how many books have you written, Karen?
7
7
altogether.
books. And how many books have you helped publish? Can you even?
Oh, probably 250.
Wow, that is so amazing. So, just an expert at just her ministry and her writing, and she's also president of the Advanced Writers and Speakers Association. So I get to hang out with her. Tell me about your new book, If You Give a Girl a Giant, because you know what? I feel like I have a giant every day that I face. Don't you? Don't you feel like?
I do, and we face them, and we have to face them like warriors, or we're in big trouble.
Yeah, and like it is really, God is it really gives us, empowers us to face our giants every day. And one of the things is one of the biggest giants in my house is my own kids, worrying that, big giants come in little packages.
Sometimes they do. That is so true.
Well,
the giants that are in this particular book are, I could probably list 10 giants like your kids and other areas that I've faced in my life. But these giants, the 4 that are in this book, actually are Goliath's 4 brothers.
Wow.
So most people don't know that Goliath had 4 brothers and that they are named in the Bible. And
Wow.
I've kind of figured out that that's why David picked up 5 stones, because he didn't know that day. He knew he needed 1 stone for the giant, but maybe he might have to fight the 4 brothers. And he didn't have to that day because they ran away. Of course, all the Philistines did. They were so terrified. But he did face them later. Of course, they faced the Philistines all the time.
Wow.
His whole time as king. But at one point, the 4 brothers showed up, and we find the scripture about it, and their name is listed.
Wow.
And it's incredible to think that. There they are, the 4 brothers. Their father's name was Rapha, and the 4 brothers are listed there. And so each one of them comes into the camp, and they are ready to kill David. And I don't know if you remember, in reading or hearing Bible stories, there was a time when David's men, his warriors that surrounded him, said, "David, we don't want you to fight anymore. You're too important to the country. We'll do all your fighting for you." And so that's about that time when they showed up, when he was probably at his weakest physically.
Yes.
And so then they showed up, and each one of them represents a giant. And the way I discovered that was that I looked up the meanings of their names.
Wow.
And each name means a different kind of giant.
Wow.
It's really incredible. The Bible is really full of stuff that we don't even know all that's there.
Well, tell us about these 4 giants. The
first brother that showed up, his name is actually, I'm going to pronounce it the way I would pronounce it in Texas.
Yes.
His name is Ishni-Benob.
Yes.
And so
Ishni-Benob.
I looked it up. I looked up his name, and his name means to sit and tarry and don't move. And so that is the giant of discouragement, because that's what happens to us when we are discouraged. We just give up and sit and tarry and don't move.
Wow.
And he showed up, and I can hear him, kind of screaming, "Turn back, don't fight, go back, don't, give up," all of that kind of stuff. That's exactly what happens to you when you're discouraged.
Yes, it does.
And it's so easy to get discouraged, I think.
Yes.
shoot, I can get discouraged if somebody doesn't smile at me, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And then
I
I'm like, I'm going
totally.
down the tubes right then.
I think if people don't like they type an email in the wrong way, all of a sudden somehow they're mad at me and or I
Yeah.
disappointed somebody. Discouragement, I think, is number one when it hits Christians a lot. Discouragement, number one.
It's so easy to get discouraged,
Yeah.
and I've had discouragements that were small and some that were really large, but they always are so real, and you just think, well, what am I doing wrong? What am I, how am I going to handle this? And I've had discouragements that were really huge, and
Yeah.
one that I tell the story of is that of losing my job. I was in the corporate world for 30 years, more than
Yeah.
30 years, and one day the job was over.
Wow.
And I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know who I was anymore or anything.
Exactly.
I couldn't. I was just like down that deep hole of discouragement.
Yeah.
And so then the cool thing
Mhm.
is that the warrior that rose up out of David's mighty men
Mhm.
to kill the giant of discouragement, his name is Abishai, and he
Mm.
represents the faithfulness of God.
Wow.
So the real answer to discouragement is the faithfulness of God. So like you
Wow.
and I think that we're taught through our culture and everything that if you're discouraged, you just pull up your bootstraps and go forward, or you just gather your courage and go forward,
Yeah.
or maybe you take a pill, or maybe
Yeah.
eat these foods or do this exercise and you'll get
Mhm.
courage again and you won't be discouraged.
Yes.
But God's answer is not that. God's answer is, I'm faithful.
Yes.
And he is faithful. When
Yes.
we're just devastated with discouragement, then he just says, hey, I'm here, and I'm going to keep my promises, and I'm going to do what I have done. I've been faithful in the past, and I'm going to be faithful now, and guess what? I'm going to be faithful in the future.
That's
So
awesome.
his
So-
faithfulness. So isn't that a better
That
answer
is
than what
so
we could come
exciting.
up with
And
for the giant?
tell me about this second guy.
Well, the second guy, his name, he comes into the camp, and his name is Saf, and he is shouting that you are. It's all over for you, and his name actually means Terminator,
Wow.
like Terminator. So he is the giant of defeat.
Wow.
And someone asked me, what is the difference between discouragement and defeat? And someone else answered me and said, well, the difference is one knocks you down and the other knocks you out.
Wow.
And it's really true, that
Wow.
that you can be absolutely defeated and go
Wow.
to a place where you just think, well, I cannot move on, and you really can't move on by yourself.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I mean, it's discouragement on steroids, really,
Wow.
because you just get to that place where you're totally and completely defeated. There is no answer. There is no way. They're coming to repossess the furniture, or
Yes.
or whatever. For me, it was. I was just like, I don't know where to would turn, and I tell the story in the book about having to go to the town dump and unload the stuff that I had myself in the Texas heat, and how I just thought, I'm done. I used to sit in an executive office in a high-rise building, and look at me
Yeah.
now. I'm at the dump, and I can't, what am I supposed to do? I can't do anything. I cannot do anything else. I'm done. It's
Wow.
like stick a fork in me, I'm done. And that's
Yeah.
defeat.
Yes.
And it happens to lots of people where they just cannot go on.
Yes.
Well,
And
then the mighty warrior
Mhm.
that killed Saf, he came out of David's ranks, and his name was Sabbakai.
Mm.
And Sabbakai means, well, it actually means intertwine enfold and move inside. So what it represents is the supernatural intervention of God.
Wow.
So think about it. Think about it, Amber. When you are defeated and you have no place to go, you have no hope, God intervenes.
So true. So true.
It is so true. He suddenly shows up and he reaches down and touches your life or changes the situation or whatever, you know. I mean, he just, he comes down and touches and intervenes and entwines and enfolds himself with us.
Yes.
And it's
so,
true.
So good.
What a great solution to defeat.
Yes.
You know?
And
it's
this,
the only solution.
Yes. And this third guy. Tell us about the third guy.
Well, he's the one that scares me a lot because he is actually the giant that we have named Fear. And his name is actually let me think what his name is. Just left me. Isn't that crazy when that happens to you?
Don't worry.
You know it well as anything in your mind.
Giant. His name is Fear. No.
Yes, but he's the giant of Fear. And let me just tell you what his name is. Why is that not coming to me? I don't know. Well, I hate blank space, but
don't.
here we go. His name, of course. He comes into the camp and he is shouting, you are weak, you've missed the boat, you did it again, you're going to fall flat, you can't do it. And he is the one who will just instill fear into your life.
Wow.
And his name, I know why I couldn't think of his name, because in the Samuel passage where we find their names, his name is not listed.
Wow.
But we find his name over in 2nd Chronicles because, you know, sometimes those passages pass. Yes. They're sort of parallel. And his name is Lami. Lami. And his name actually means to harass or accuse.
Wow.
So he's the one who is fear. And I think there are like two kinds of fear. There's a fear of external fear, like when something happens, like you have a car accident.
Yeah. Or
a storm or something. But then there's that internal fear that comes to you when you know you failed and you haven't done it.
Amazing.
And it's just that fear of failure, that fear of that I messed up and I can't do that. Well, you wouldn't believe it, but the guy who came to destroy that giant is one of David's mighty men. And
wow.
I love this so much because, you know, fear is something that we all face.
Yes.
In a terrifying way, and it's sort of like deep inside of us. And the warrior that rose up, his name was Elhanan. And you know what it means? Well, you probably guessed El something. That's God.
Yeah.
Well, it's the God of mercy.
Wow.
So when you are terrified, either externally or internally, it's the God comes at you with his mercy. And so he looks at you and he said, and you say, oh, I have failed. I'm so bad. Look what I did it again. I'm such a mess. And God just sort of spreads his hand over you and says, mercy, mercy. And I think that's just so beautiful. It's the weapon of God to destroy that giant in your life because he loves us so much. And he really does. He always has mercy on us. He knows what we're made of and what a mess we are most of the time.
He does. And he comes into it in his mercy. I think, he comes into that blank space with everything of his mercy. Yeah. And tell us about this fourth guy, because
the fourth one came in, and we don't know his name. He doesn't have a name at all in any place. But he had this unusual physical trait.
Yes.
He had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot.
Wow.
And he was a giant.
Yeah.
I think about him, I sometimes think about the poor guy, like when he was in 8th grade, imagine the bullies.
Yes.
That they were like, look at you, you freak, you have 6 fingers,
And
then not only that, he grew up to be biggest one of all, the giant.
Exactly.
Can you imagine how
No.
self-conscious he
That would have
was
been
and all of that.
incredibly crazy to
Yeah.
be that person.
Yeah. And so he represents the giant of self. And because he had to be so self-conscious, you know. And,
And who was the one who came face to face with him?
well, his name was Jonathan,
Mm.
and he was David's mighty man, mighty warrior. And Jonathan's name means the gifts of God.
Wow.
So the giant of self might be the biggest giant of all because we all
Wow.
face, we all love ourselves so much. And
Yes.
but God has given us gifts to help us win over self. So we have the word, we have prayer, we have gratitude, we have forgiveness. We have all these gifts that God gives us that are tools and weapons that we can use against the giant of self.
Yeah.
So whenever we're feeling real proud of ourselves, we need to go to the Word
Yes,
and
exactly.
read and say, "Uh-oh, it's God who's powerful, not me."
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
And so-
I feel that in everything. Like I'm supposed to, work this out. God, you
Yeah.
made me so good, sometimes. And you in that, you find yourself so exhausted being consumed with yourself. I think a lot of these things, what the result of all these things, exhaustion. It is
Exactly.
exhausting. It is exhausting when we
Yeah.
go to battle, and the best thing you can do is put these in the right place, and as you said, get the warriors out, coming against these. And I love
use God's weapons, not things we think of.
Karen, and this is probably the most unique play I've heard. Not unique play, the unique facts that I've heard
Yeah.
on this story of David and Goliath.
Yeah.
And I would encourage anyone come to see this book. I know it says if you give a girl a giant fighting for your life, but if you give a guy a giant, this is such interesting, thick things that people can chew on and transformational concepts.
Yeah, the book is really for men too, but girls buy more books than men, so we couldn't resist. We couldn't resist
Nice.
that play.
Hey,
that play on words. If you give a girl a giant.
Well, I have an idea just to cross market it. You can just cross off girl and put guy on that.
Yeah. So they'll
Just-
feel manly, right?
Yeah, they can just cross off the girl and put guy on there.
Right.
Thank you, Karen, for joining us. We're going to put all the links in the comments below for this. If you give a girl a giant, Tom, do you have a final question?
Yeah, I just want to encourage everybody to reach out to Karen, check her out online. And Karen, we need to have you back so you can talk about these aspiring writers
Yes.
and how they can
Would love to.
plug into because that's a whole other segment in its own.
In its own, yes. So we're really
Well, I'd
excited.
be glad to come back anytime. Just let me know.
All right.
So good to talk to you both, Tom and Amber.
All right. You have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I encourage you guys, check out KarenPorter.com, and I will actually put the links in
And
there.
Bold Vision
and
Books.
Bold Vision Books. And we'll put the links in the comments below. This is one of those transformational books. So even if you're a guy, get this. I've never heard this kind of teaching before on David and Goliath. So this is awesome. Well, we're running a little bit behind, but I want to get our next guest on the line, Sharon Tedford, who is an amazing songwriter, performer, and author. But I love her music. I also love her accent. Hello, Sharon. How are you?
I am very well. How are you, my friend?
I am doing very amazing, and we just talked to one of your friends down in Texas.
I
Texas.
watched that.
Yes,
Karen Porter. She
Yeah.
is a legend.
Well, we can all tell by your accent that you have been in Texas a very, very long time.
A very long time. You can tell, can't you, that we still go in the garage to get the car and eat bananas and drink water. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Sharon, she's an author, she's a speaker, and moreover, she's a beautiful songwriter. But not of this country. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you came into your ministry heart.
Well, we are just about at the end of the month to celebrate 10 years in Texas, which is really hard to believe, but true. So actually, I think our 14-year-old accent would give away the fact that we've been in Texas for 10 years. Because he says water and awesome, and I'm not very good at that. My children cringe when I try. Anyway, we've been here 10 years.
Yeah.
My husband's job moved us here. I mean, that's the long story. The short story is God moved us here.
Yeah.
We've seen him do some incredible things since we've been here. And we moved right here. This is it. This is the house we moved to.
Wow.
We've been in the same street, at the same school district. And it's been a wild journey, lots to learn. I know you understand that.
We
may speak, I think it's Oscar Wilde that said, two nations separated by the same language.
Yes.
Because we surely are. We've had some fun with teaching our children, don't say this word. And when the Americans use that word, it doesn't mean what you think it does.
I know. I
I'm
love
sure you
that.
know that.
It's so funny because I go between, sometimes I go between, and I always say, okay, that does not sound good in British, in the British vocab, so let's not use that. But it's amazing. My oldest, who's 19, she used to say, banana.
Banana,
It was very. Now we've been here over 20 years, so it's amazing how your kids kind of adapt to, like I say, Anglo-Ozarkian, you'll be Anglo-Texan.
Well, when our son was very little and we'd lived here maybe just a year or a year and a half, my husband and I were driving. He was in the back of the car. My husband is actually Irish, so he sounds even different from me. He has a very strong Northern Irish accent.
Oh, wow.
And we were actually teasing Reuben, our youngest, in the back about a rugby match, because rugby is big in our family, and England were playing Ireland at rugby. And so we were teasing him, saying, so today, are you English or are you Irish? And he said, oh, don't be silly, Mummy. I'm Texish.
That's awesome.
So he has forever been Texish. Yeah.
Well, tell us about the 61 Things, and I encourage you guys to go to 61things.com and find out all about Sharon. Sharon, you are so much more, the ministry that you have, the music that you have. In fact, I was listening in the car this morning, and about, there's just such peace kind of enveloping what you do, and I think it was kind of God ordained that here we have talking about giants, and you're just about standing up, and even the courage that David had to stand, very much so, of that perseverance of spirit that is in your heart. Tell us about how God birthed that in you.
I love that. I agree with you that I'm following Karen Porter, who has just so eloquently expressed that the real answer to discouragement is the faithfulness of God. And what would have been happening in my life was that I was meeting Christians who were weary. Many, many people who've been going to church for years, especially here in Texas, and where it's a cultural thing to do, and what a great thing to have as part of your culture. But they were just weary and going to church because that's what you do, but didn't really know how to live a life of full faith and being a warrior, being an overcomer. And I went to a Pink conference, which is put on by Gateway, which is just at the bottom of the road here. And I received, as every single woman did in that room, I received a prophecy that was tucked into my feet that was meant for me. I later heard that the team who write these things spend a whole year writing individual words of encouragement for the women who come to the conferences.
Wow.
And it was based, incredible. It was based on Isaiah 61, and it talked about being an oak of righteousness and
Wow.
continuing to stand when things have been difficult. And we'd had 3 or 4 very difficult years where my faith was shaken, and some things happened in the church space that were very discouraging. But God had really shown up in my life and met me in new and fresh ways. And so this prophecy is based on Isaiah 61, and it was based on verses 1 through 4 particularly. So I came home and I read it, and I read the scripture. I knew that God was saying, I would say that to everybody. If anybody ever gives you a word of encouragement or a word of prophecy, whatever your church family call it, take it to the word and weigh it up.
Yes.
And so that's what I did. I took it to the word, and I sat with Isaiah 61, 1 through 4, and just said to God, what are you saying to me here? What's more? There's more here. There are roots to this tree, oak of righteousness.
Yes.
And once I'd finished reading those 4 verses, I had 58 pages of notes.
Wow.
And I don't know, because God was just pouring out stuff. I am a words girl, so I was digging into all of the Hebrew. Interesting that Karen was just talking about that too. There's so much more than what's on the surface here.
Yes.
And it just really lit a fire in me to say, what Jesus has done for me is, he has anointed me because I'm his. He's bound up my broken heart. He's given me freedom. He's given me release from the darkness that I was living in. So as a believer, that's what Jesus is calling me to do for other people too. So when I meet weary believers now and they say, I don't know what to do with my faith, and I say, let's listen to what Jesus said in Luke 8 when he echoed the words of Isaiah 61 and said, this is what we need to do. This is what you are anointed for. Everyone who loves Jesus is filled with the Spirit and therefore anointed to go out and see the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the garment of praise instead of despair.
Wow. That is so incredibly transformational. We could just kind of get that down into our spirits. And I know, it's a challenge because I'm always asking God, what is my role in judging your faithfulness and my logic and reason as a responsible person? You know that?
That is a great question.
And what's foolish? Because I never want to be foolishly comfortable. Do you understand that? And
very much.
And I just fight the idea of being foolishly comfortable. Yeah, I just want to lay in it. But so in my standing, I feel like, okay, God, you've got this. What do I have to fill in the blanks? Well, sometimes he says nothing, and it leaves me just kind of whirling in a circle of trust and that nagging feeling of foolish confidence.
Yeah.
How do you?
Yeah, I would very much agree with
that. How do you stand in that?
Yeah, that's really great. The first song on my album, the title track is "Stand," and that is all about waiting on God, standing and waiting, based on a story of how when we were pregnant with our first son, although we'd had 2 miscarriages before we had him, and so I found being pregnant scary, and I had to learn how to enjoy being pregnant, enjoy the blessing of the pregnancy, regardless of how it would end. And our son is now 20, so it ended well. But I had to learn that, that was a big lesson. And God said to my husband and I at that time, you will not have to fight this battle, which is interesting that following Karen's talk about being warriors. 2 Chronicles 20:17. Take up your positions, stand firm, and see the deliverance the Lord will give you.
Wow.
And don't be afraid, don't be discouraged, because the Lord will be with you. But God doesn't say do anything; He says stand firm.
Wow.
And He says that over and over and over in the Bible: stand, wait, don't be discouraged. I mean, if you were to look up the word stand, you're going to see multiple scriptures about how God says wait.
Yes.
And it's what we do in the waiting that's so important, you know,
Yeah.
that we stand still in his presence,
Yes.
that we worship him in the waiting, that we fix our eyes on him in the waiting, that we quietly rest and trust Jesus in the waiting.
Yes.
Because waiting is actually, when we stand,
Yes.
it's a physical sign
Yes.
to the enemy that we are not out on the bench.
Yes.
We might be
So
standing
true.
still, but who are we standing still with?
Yes.
You know, there's power in that.
And I know for me, I had the similar thing with not knowing if I could, when we miscarried, not knowing if I could carry a baby to term because they found a deformity the prophetic, that was God came to my husband and I in the most trying moment when we were told that we may never keep this baby to term. And he said, you have been through the fire, you have passed the test, and she will be a blessing. So we
That's good.
held that, and even though I was bleeding through my whole pregnancy, I was so scared most of the time. I knew that on the other end of this, that she would be a blessing, you know? And every pregnancy since, I had those very troubled times, and God came to us, waking us up in the middle of the night, and here I have this very Episcopalian husband who now has experienced the power of God in a very tangible way. But she will be a blessing. And every time I struggle with them, not doing or really struggling in their faith or in their time, I just know, I say, God, you have called her. You have said she will be a blessing, and I am calling that prayer into collection.
Thank you.
I am calling that prayer into collection. And I know beyond the shadow of a doubt, no matter what's happening around me, you have said she will be a blessing.
That's good, Amber. That's good. Yeah.
I know that there are people who are struggling, who have seen moments where they feel that maybe God has forsaken them. And I say maybe God hasn't spoken to you, but you open the Bible, God speaks, okay? You don't have to you don't have to wait from an audible word from heaven. You get a word from heaven each day when you open that book, okay?
That is the truth. Yeah.
And you know what? God's promises are real and they're personal.
Yeah.
And we need to claim those prayers, and we need to pray them forward, because God, there is no prayer that is spoken in vain in this time and in this place. And we have a multitude of history of prayer that has gone before us, happening around us, and continues to travel with us. So don't be discouraged. Stand on God's fullness of his promise, because it's personal, and it will carry you through every time, every period of doubt and disappointment. Every period of doubt and disappointment. Every time your knees are wobbling, God is there holding you up. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Come on.
I got a little bit
No, come on.
I got a little
I'm
bit preachy
throwing
here.
my shoes.
I'm
throwing my shoes at you. Come on.
Sharon, we are running out of time because I just got caught on the totem of God's Spirit is real, and if you don't feel it, you need to open your mouth and talk to him.
Come on.
Yeah.
Say it again. Yes.
Open your mouth and talk to him and say, God, are you real? Because I really need to feel you right now. And
that's a great place to start. Yes.
So I'm gonna pull myself together, and knowing that it is time for us to go. Sharon, 61things.com, album stand, your book, Inspired. Just go out and see her. We're going to put all the comments below. I am so sorry we're running late to close up the show, but thank you so much, Sharon. We will have you back on.
Bless you both. Thanks very much for having me, Tom and Amber. Have a great day. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, what a great, what great guest, what great time, and just of inspiring me. And I hope you guys are inspired too. And it's the end of the show.
It is.
It is. It sometimes happens faster than we think. This hour kind of escapes us. Thank you, Tom, for being with us today.
Good to be here.
And this is Amber
And this is Tom.
saying, step into the sunshine and find something to celebrate today. Take care.